Well, a really fun day of trading. It's Monday. Great movement. Was able to have a really good entry on one trade and then just barely missed several other entries that immediately ran a profit. Whenever you're seeing the market like that, it's just a fun time. So we're going to go and recap today's trading session from the live stream over on my main channel, Trades by Matt. So make sure you go subscribe over there and hang out during the streams to catch this stuff live. But make sure you subscribe over here as well because it's daily recaps. I'm trading my 20 50k Apex funded accounts. You can use code TBM for the best discount always, which right now is 80% off. So go get started on an evaluation for 80% off with code TBM. Let's dive into today's recap. Yo, good morning. Welcome. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a good day so far. Hopefully you had a good weekend. How was Julie's birthday weekend? It was very fun. She wanted to go to an amusement park. So we went to an amusement park and a water park on Saturday and had a fun dinner Saturday night. The kids were staying with my in-laws. Overall, great birthday. She said one of her favorite birthdays. Very fun, solid weekend. Hilarious that she wanted to do that, but it ended up being very fun. Let's talk about the market. Kind of rippy, huh? Almost fully engulfing yesterday's or Friday's candle, I guess. Looks like on the overnight we technically did trade the open from Friday, 950s or so. Friday's high 80s, we popped that. The rotation up to the next level I think would be 2020, which would also be an 80 to 20 rotation. That looks pretty clean, but we'll see kind of what happens on if we're gonna kind of stay at volume, roll over off volume, or push through the 80s into the 2020s and higher. Those are definitely the levels that I care about on the daily. On the overnights, on the current day, I guess you can see the overnight highs were just ticked, so that's good. I mean, we're up 1.1718%. We are above yesterday's value area high and VWAP, both 100 points lower. So I think overall right now it's pretty obvious, but everything is up and kind of projecting up. I think the key levels here though are, 980s and see what happens there, honestly. And right here and the 980s, both of those are very important. Rolling over here off of the open from Friday, I think also makes sense. So kind of see what the market brings us as the day starts up here in the next minute or so. We'll see how volume kind of affects everything. For me, it is about being smart and being patient today. We don't really have any news. This is the news calendar for today. We got Harris speaking at 10:30. We'll talk about all of that in just a little bit. But other than that, nothing really today. So yeah, we'll see kind of what happens, and I'll be looking at potentially IB plays. I'll be looking at volume plays and just scalping base hits. That's the name of the game for me today. Rotating 50 points so far. And today's show will have yet another conspiracy hour. I don't know how the last week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, there's been like a conspiracy segment that's unfortunately been basically very accurate all month long, but there's another one today, so stay tuned. Just barely swept that prior low, kind of snapping out of it. Testing 900 seems like it would make a lot of sense. So far rotating off of Friday's open. No VWAP anymore. VWAP is just way lower, bro. VWAP is just off the screen from a really nice rotation up. Okay, hanging out at the 90s. This is interesting. I don't know if we actually trade 910 with the volume that we have at 900 right now, but so far everything's kind of playing out like I thought would be kind of interesting. I mean, it's an 80 point yoink off the tops here. Again, I'd prefer a close below 90 to then come up and retrade this, but it might just be happening right now. We'll see. And it's lit. GG's. All right, we got 2 dad jokes of the day. Are you ready, chat? Are you ready for your 2 dad jokes? Dad joke number 1 from Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st. How do you measure the mass of an influencer's following? By Instagrams. That's stupid. I hate that joke. All right, and July 22nd, Monday. How does cereal pay its bills? With checks. These were 2 very, very not even mid jokes. These were 1 out of 10s in my mind. Gosh. Shall we talk about the current state of America and have a little conspiracy section? What about the news? There is no news today. We already talked about it. Get here at 8:25. That's when we do all of our pre-market analysis. That's when we talk about news, etc. All the good stuff. Our pre-market plan. All that starts at 8:25. No, please. Okay, well, close your ears. Because it's important. It affects everything, unfortunately. Biden has dropped out, right? No politics. Oh, it's not politics. Biden has dropped out. Conspiracy hour now is he alive? Do we think that President Biden is currently alive? That is the conspiracy hour. That is straight up it. There is so much stuff about the fact that no one has seen him. No one saw him sign the paper. No one, it allegedly isn't it's not a wedding signature. It's a digital signature. No one has seen him since he submitted it. No one heard him. There was no video. There was no photos. There was just him posting it on Twitter. And that's been it. And now he's been basically erased from everything. So it wasn't on the official letterhead, correct? No official letterhead. No wedding signature. No photos of him signing it. No videos of him signing it. Has not been heard of since. Other than Twitter. Not spending his weekends on 4chan? Nah. But we do have a conspiracy hour segment, and it is valid to talk about it. Also, and this is not political in the slightest. This is really just, we are in a, as a trader, it is incredibly important to not get super long-term focused, right? That being said, it's also important to understand the conditions that you're currently in. I think that everything that's currently happening will absolutely have a play on the conditions of the market in over the next 4 years, right? And being able to understand how we will trade certain areas of interest based on the current structure of the government is a valid use case and time talking point. So anyways, I do think it's very interesting. I'm very interested to see what happens with the markets as we progress towards November. I think we're still in for a very volatile time. One, if Biden is alive, I think there will be some more volatility. And if he is not alive, I think there will also be more volatility. I think that the Democratic process being kind of skipped based on the primary round and etc. is also going to throw in some volatility, to be perfectly honest. So I think we are in for a lot of volatility through the end of the year, in my opinion. And that's exciting for traders. And it's also you need to be aware of the fact that we're going to have a ton of volatility, right? How are you going to trade it? Are you going to be trying to pass evals? Or are you going to be like, nut up and focus up? That's the main reason why I'm talking about it, is I think it plays a massive role into everything that we are doing here. I also find conspiracies personally very fun and interesting. Okay. Little topper on the 1 minute. Damn near a double top as well. We've had a nice push up, like 80 points without a pullback. This is a cheap trade up here, to be perfectly honest. I just don't know how I want to take it. If I want to take it, I guess is a better way to say that. But it is a cheap trade because you can put stops on the high of day. There's a little sweep of the prior highs. What's Delta doing? Little Ligma at Delta as well. Something like this is pretty interesting to me. I'm filled short. Go ahead and move my stop break even, and I'm out. That's a 10-point trade there. $3,920 after commissions. Very clean. 10 points, base hit. I think looking for more there absolutely makes sense because I was paired up right at that double bottom. I think we sweep those a lot of times. Right at the prior low. Like the rotation into 2000 or into 20K there makes so much sense off of the 20s, right? But I'm here to take my base hits. I'm here to take my 10-point trades off of low risk. I want cheap trades. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to be smart. I'm here to be patient. I'm here to take cheap trades. I'm here to take base hits. Gosh darn it. And that's what I did. So I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely okay with leaving some money on the table. I think we absolutely could continue to rip higher, by the way. It's just taking the setup that's right in front of my face. We're right at the highs. I have a very defined trade. We swept the prior highs. We come back into the range. I get short, and I have a stop above the prior high, right? Especially when you throw volume in there, where it's like we just ripped 150 points, and now we have the most volume on the whole session being conducted 10 points away from the high of day. When volume flips like that, that's a point and control flip. And you just have to ask yourself why. Why is there that much volume being conducted here? Which is why I said if we push out of this, we're going to really run. But we rotated out of it, which is the more common thing. And so I'm given, when I see something like that, I see a really nice rotation up with hardly any pullbacks. I see volume get put in at the high of the day. We're in the magical 20s. And I'm given an opportunity to have a trade that's got a 5 or 6 point stop loss. That's a cheap trade, right? With very defined risk that makes sense. We already swept the highs. We came back into the range, get short, stop above the new highs. And Delta was also creating a ligma, and it was no longer pushing super hard. That to me is just a great all-around cheap setup for an easy trade. What's a ligma? Delta divergence. So when price is pushing and price is making new highs, and delta, which is showing the change in market buyers versus market sellers. For instance, here, when we swept the highs, you can see that delta, we swept the prior highs. We should have more buyers here than sellers, and buyers could not even bring it up to the prior level. That's a delta divergence, a ligma, as I like to call it. And we see it again here as we push up again. We just don't have that many buyers, and then we slap off of it. VWAP in the 80s, kind of an interesting spot here. The only downside is the prior lows. So maybe like prior volume at 900 could be really interesting. Prior point of control. It's interesting when you have VWAP, which would be an interesting spot after a pretty nice pullback, but we have the prior low not very far below it, which is a little sketchy. Did anybody take the short up here and it's still holding? I would assume not, but that was over a 100-point trade. That's kind of insane. Never even came once to my, like, I could have moved that to break even and just not even worried about it once. That's crazy. But I'm here to take base hits. I'm here to be smart, and I'm here to be patient. I'm here to take base hits. So I don't care, but I'm just saying that's crazy. The trade up here. Oh yeah, I forgot to even include that it was also this Thursday's open. I forgot to include that it was Thursday's open, which I had been talking about pre-market. To be fair, the 20s, I had been talking about pre-market being Thursday's open, and I cared about that level. I said we rotate 80s to 20s to Thursday's open and see what happens there, and we did reject off of that. I forgot to include that when I was talking about the reasons why I took that trade. Still got liquidity higher. I imagine that we rotate IB. I don't really know how to buy it. And we got, it's a doji 5-minute candle here. I wouldn't say that instills confidence. Doji 5-minute closing in 5 seconds. Not really a ton of buyers. Potentially could get away with like an 80 buy if we actually like slapped a little bit. Oh, and we got volume up here now at 20K. I don't really know if I get this fill though. I still feel like we push this. The 970 level is also pretty interesting. It's again that like order block from earlier. Somewhat of an untested wick down here. A little scary that it's like the middle of the range, but right at the overnight highs also. Again, I don't know if we slap this. I mean, we just, in theory, these double bottoms that just formed get flushed, right? A lot of times you see when we go side by side like that on candles, like on the 5-minute chart, side by side 5-minute wicks like this typically get cleaned up either in the same candle or the very next candle often. More often than not, I would say. So I would imagine that we make new lows here. It's just the question is how deep do we go? Do we go at 82 or do we go at 71? Or does it just continue to flush? I mean, we go sweep the lows here, right? Yeah, there's a sweep of the lows. It's kind of dirty. I'm basically 20K down to 60 points so far and counting. I don't feel like I get this, but if I do, I'll take it. Yoinking straight through VWAP also? Down into IB maybe? That was a pretty heavy little section. I'm gonna go and move that up to break even. I don't trust another sweep through it. I either get filled or stopped out here. Stopped out. That was spooky candle, man. That was a 100-point candle. I don't want any part of that. The break even is I'm very fine with there. Goodness, 98 down to 95, man. 94. That's a 100-point slap. And then we kind of melted a little bit through VWAP. The quick push back up makes total sense. But as of right now, I think IBL makes even more sense. So the break even there, you saw me move my stop up to 900. Trading 900, bouncing out of it, I thought made sense. So I moved it up to 900, was risking 10 points at that point. Then when we kind of cleared up, 6 points above VWAP, I went ahead and moved to break even because I don't want to mess around with that shit.